whoever's watching this later. Uh, Welcome, as usual. These things are not scheduled. So I get started a little early and give people a chance to get here as they will. So this first portion is just letting people get the alerts and get online and whatnot, yada yada. Oh, we got one like already. Someone's already here. That's awesome. Let me get the chat up. Uh, it's Ryan. Hey, Ryan. Oh, Isaac's here too. Hey, guys. Men. I always hate that. Guys, dudes, that stuff. We're not, we're men. If we don't identify ourselves correctly, then we can't be too surprised when the Sasquatch is here. When other people don't either. We got 5 people. That was quick. So yeah, let me get set up. Obviously, for those of you who know, one of the friends of the community died this weekend. And so we're going to spend a few minutes talking about him before we move back on to things that he would also have been interested in. So we're going to be a little serious-minded here for a few minutes. And then we'll get back to the usual frivolity. But anywho. Oh, and of course the kids have video games up on my laptop. Come on. So thank you for your patience while we're, yeah, just stick with us for just a minute. If I had thought this many people would have showed up this quick, I would have done more of this beforehand. And of course, that thing's going to be a pain in my neck. All right, so I would imagine most everyone's here who's going to be interested in this part anyway. If you've been around the channel for any length of time, you've probably heard some comments or seen some comments from a guy. I can't remember what his screen name was. I think it was, well, he lives in Alaska. His first name's Adam. I'm not going to throw his last name out there, although I don't think he would mind, but it's not his decision anymore. It's his widow's, and I don't have her permission to put the last name out there. But Adam was a like-minded individual. He was extremely encouraging to us. This live stream, every live stream I've ever done has been done on a tripod that Adam sent me. That we're doing it right now. Right now, the camera is all set up on a tripod Adam sent us. Isaac Adams was about 45 years old. He was a young man. It was a car accident. Rob Painless actually was. Rob's really good about keeping up with everybody, and Rob was closer to him personally than I was, and but so the information Rob has passed on to me was that he was driving down the highway, and he rear-ended. I might not be able to get in the chat tonight. He rear-ended a military Humvee, and this part is just all speculation. Yeah, he was known for being a pretty safe conservative driver, and so the speculation is that he had a heart attack, and that's actually probably what led to the car accident rather than the car accident. So he has a wife. I don't believe he has any children, but good man, godly man, or at least I mean, he professed the faith and he professed it publicly. And these days, that's got to stand for something because there's just no point in doing that if you don't believe it because there's no profit in it anymore. So yeah, 45 years old. Yeah, so these are always kind of fraught moments for those of us who look to the scriptures for our our inspiration. One of the hardest teachings in there is that it tells us not to mourn when a believer passes, and that's a difficult thing to hear. It's counterintuitive because they're gone, they're out of our lives. But it maybe sounds like a cliche. Oh, they're in a better place, but better place doesn't begin to describe what's going on for Adam right now. So we wanted to re. It sounds awful to say. We want to celebrate alongside Adam. There was a celebration in heaven, the likes of which we can't even imagine when he entered those gates, and we would be remiss if we mourned. Uh, that being said, it is a somber moment, especially for his wife, and he will be missed. He was a great encouragement to us. He supported the channel. He supported Rob's channel. He was definitely he had skin in the game, and he wasn't afraid to be heard for his values. So he will definitely be missed. I was talking to our buddy Halfcan over in Ireland, who he was a big encouragement to Halfcan too, and Halfcan was just sort of running down the list of men we've lost since the channel started, and David Burton and Jimmy D and now Adam. They were with us from early on, and all three of them were huge encouragements, not just to me. It's not about me, but to other channels like Rob, Wes. I'm not even sure who all he was involved with, but he was involved with a number of channels and was an encouragement to them. And he just forwarded the movement. If everyone involved in the movement, the Second Amendment movement, uh, the uh, the Patriot movement, uh, the traditional values, the faith. If everyone just did as much as Adam did, this would be. I mean, this would be the most amazing play. It would be what it used to be, uh, and so we are very grateful to him, and we look to his example, and we hold up his example to the rest of you, to all of us, not the rest of you. I'm talking to all of us. Be heard, and be unapologetically heard. Adam was unapologetically heard, unabashedly. He wasn't screaming. He wasn't yelling. He wasn't, lighting his hair on fire and running around throwing tomato soup at priceless works of art. he he soberly and appropriately and 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 unmistakably voiced his opinion when the time was right. So no, Wes, Adam, Rob can fill you in on a lot of the details, uh, but I'm pretty sure I've seen him on your live streams before, Wes. First name was Adam. He lived in Alaska. I just don't want to throw his last name out there. I can't remember his screen name. I want to. It might have been something like Alaska Yukon or AK Yukon. Uh, I don't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure you know him. He died this weekend in a car wreck, 45 years of age. He will be missed, and keep his widow in your prayers. And just remember, we're not guaranteed nothing, man. We are not guaranteed nothing. Every breath is a gift. Uh, every moment could be. I mean, it sounds prosaic, but every moment could be your last. A meteorite could come through this roof right now, and y'all could watch me vaporize. Uh, and the next world is a much better world, but this world is where we have the ability to choose. This is the world where we have the ability to create. This is the world where we have ability to achieve. This is the world where we have the ability to prove ourselves. The next world's going to be a wonderful place. You know, I had not heard nor or whatever it is. You know, the wonders that await. But it will be different. It won't be like it is here, and we don't want to be like you know the rich man and Lazarus, the parable of Lazarus and the rich man. With the rich man, like, oh, if only I'd known, you know. We don't want to have regrets, and we all will have regrets. But man, we really got to use the time we have. I'm terrible about it. I'm terrible at time management. All right, we might be able to get in the chat now. And like I said, once we're gone, we don't have the ability to create anymore. We don't have the ability to choose anymore. We don't have. It's all set in stone. You know, the die's cast at that point. So we really need to be focused on being deliberate with whatever time we have. Look, he was 45 years old. I'm 48, so he was even a little younger than me. Some of you are older than me. Some of you are younger than me. But yeah, we're all faced the same thing. You know, we have a calling. We have things we're supposed to accomplish. We need to be getting about them because we don't know how long we have to do it all. All right. That being said, so I'm not going to say the somber portion's over. In celebration of Adam this evening, I'm drinking the old standby, the standard, the Yuengling Black and Tan. So here's to you, Adam. One more hero's entered the pantheon. I wish I knew his wife's first name. We would. You'll ask you to remember her in prayer by first name. Obviously, you're not going to put her last name out there. Okay. So Isaac, what is the chance you can put the link to that article you just sent me in the chat? I just saw it right before we went live. I only had a chance to read the headline and the byline, but if you can get that link to that article in the chat, I think it would be. Sasquatch says that the Hagakure, which I'm not familiar with the Hagakure, gives an appropriate take on facing mortality. Anywho, Okay, Luke says true AI doesn't exist yet. I actually have come to agree that this AI thing has been overhyped. Oh, it's a Bushido text. Okay. Oh, thank you, Isaac. So Chuck Norris recognized it too. So this article from Zero Hedge, if you guys don't check Zero Hedge, that's one of the few websites I check daily. I check Zero Hedge, I check Breitbart. The breath you have wasted in life cannot be redeemed. Live so that who you can be seen above and what you would have been. Okay. Oh, Wes. It's always fun when Wes drops the act and lets you see who he really is. It's C103. How you doing, sir? Uh, God, oh, you guys are ready to go tonight. Uh, all right. So I really want to talk about this article that Isaac's put out there. Who replaced Wes S with Robert Frost? So you know the this is jury style. You know the Trump. Uh, oh, so this was they issued a verdict in the New York trial, the New York Trump trial. This was the one that claimed he committed fraud by overvaluing his properties. I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, this was baked into the cake for me. I mean, I just this was gonna happen. They were gonna find him guilty. So I actually haven't looked to see what any of the penalties were. I don't think he was facing jail time in that one, but I could be mistaken. Okay, so they fined him $400 million. Yeah, Wes has got to put his facade back up. That's a lot of money. $400 million is a lot of money. Now he's going to appeal it. You know, who we'll see what happens when it goes forward. But I mean, this was baked into the cake, as far as I was concerned. This was always going to happen. You know, I saw it, assumed it. Oh, and banned him from doing business in New York. Interesting. Uh, that's a hard thing because you know, that was the focal point of his business was New York City, and he owns a bunch of properties up there. I don't know if they're going to make him sell them right now, and the place is so incredibly mismanaged that you can't do business in New York for 3 years. The place is so incredibly mismanaged that now would be a terrible time to try to be selling properties in New York City. But interestingly, there's a group of truckers. Uh, and every time I talk about the truckers, his sons can do business. All I hear is that old '70s song, "Convoy." Anyone need a Kahula dog? Wes says she's selling Kahula dogs. We got a great big convoy trucking through the night. There was even a really bad movie that went with it. Convoy. These truckers are saying that they're going to yeah. Trudeau starts getting shaky whenever he hears the word trucker. All right, so anyone who wants a Kahula dog, is that a Kahula cattle dog? What do they call it? Kahula. Anyway, yeah, they're the short haired. They're brown. They're kind of tall. They got a ridge back on them. I think those are the ones we're talking about. Tell me if I'm wrong, Wes. Wes has a hookup for you if you're looking for that. These truckers are saying, based off of the headline, that they're going to begin refusing loads for Allie McGraw in the wife beater shirt. Well, I mean, what is that a illegitimate reason to watch a movie? I mean, what's wrong with that? Uh, these truckers say that they're going to start refusing loads to New York City. Or was it New York or New York City, Isaac? Louisiana leopard Catahoula dog. Now everyone's just going to be talking about Ali McGraw's wife beater shirt. Uh, Life on the plot has been so much better since I smoked that damn Billy Goat. We want to talk about the AI here in a little while too, Luke, so don't go anywhere on me. Uh, and talk about an effective strategy. Because that place cannot live without that. So I live in Northeast Georgia, about an hour and 45 minutes north of Atlanta, but I work in Atlanta, in and around Atlanta. Uh, Drive all over the damn place. Uh, and of course, so I see I mean, trucks. What always shocks me is how many shingles, how many truckloads of shingles I see going into and out of that city every day. And when I say truckload, I'm talking about flatbed, tractor trailer loads of shingles. I mean, I see at least every day, probably, I see tractor trailer loads of shingles going into the city of Atlanta. Well, so yeah, we're going to talk about that, Chuck Norris. You're right. Uh, uh, so a city the size of New York, now maybe they don't need as many shingles as Atlanta does. Oh, I'm bumping the AI. I'm lagging now. Luke, nice. Okay. Uh, so, when you think about on the list of threats that would actually get you somewhere in New York City, threats that actually should scare New York City, it's truckers refusing to deliver things into the city. Uh, uh, because you can't produce things in there. We actually had a little manufacturing uh, a little manufacturing company here in my little town that moved out about Long Island uh, because they couldn't they couldn't it was too expensive to do business up there between the unions and just taxes and the space on rentals and all the regulations. This guy picked up his whole factory and moved it down to the mountains of northeast Georgia, uh, and moved all of his workers and the whole 9 yards. He brought like 100 people with him when he came, and he brought this small factory down here. And yeah, I think it has since closed, but it was here for probably 20, 30 years. We got several decades out of it. Uh, so just think about all the shit that's got to get shipped into that city. There's what, 8 million people in New York City, I believe is the last number I heard. Someone can fact check me on that. Uh, uh, and that's 8 million people. The Bellamy Brothers did a song about their Catahoula. Huh. I love the Bellamy Brothers. One of my all-time favorite songs is a Bellamy Brothers song called "Redneck Girl." Uh, all right, anti-jack. uh, they have to have everything shipped in because they can't afford to make it. They can't afford the space to make it there. And so, if truckers are really going to do this, if they're really going to uh, refuse to take loads into New York City, that would be an effective strategy. Now, now, Chuck, I think it was Chuck Norris that just brought up something. He said he'll believe it. He'll believe it when he sees it, because truckers got to make money, and I agree. That's always the. Are they going to follow? Are they going to follow through? Yeah, but seaports and trains, Chuck Norris. I mean, stuff coming by sea isn't coming from Illinois. It's not coming from Wisconsin. or even Ohio or and all that. You know, the stuff that they're gonna. Ah, God. You know, the big shiploads come in like that, but the stuff they use, you know, comes back in on the trucks, and trains have been regulated out of existence. So yeah, the stuff they have a huge port, but oh God, think about that. Now think about the truckers saying we're not going to go pick stuff up at the port. We're not going to go into the New York port and bring stuff out, and yeah, rats. That could start affecting everybody. Uh, but it's a fair point. You know, just because a few truckers, you know, got to having breakfast together at the petrol uh, station and the petro station and you know, thought that who knows who's going to actually follow through, but they're talking. You know, they at least said something. They had a response. Whole career in truck. I forgot. Yeah, C-103 was a trucker. A whole career in trucking. Let's see if I get that back up. A whole career in trucking and never heard anyone ask, got anything going to New York City? Because no one wants to go to New York City, he's saying. Uh, but you know, can you reduce the loads going in by 10%? It does something. But to me, what's really interesting is that we've just got working blue collar people finally starting to say, "All right, enough of this horse shit. Uh, we're not we're not taking part of this anymore." And that is a big deal. Uh, that is a very, very, very big deal. There was this really stupid movie called Machete. I don't. Some of y'all may have seen it. It hasn't been that long ago. New York City will never die, but it can be a lot smaller than it is. And and Machete was a really stupid movie, by the way. And I like that kind of movie, and even I didn't. I'm kind of a big Quentin. It wasn't a Quentin Tarantino movie. It was a Robert Rodriguez movie, but they work together pretty close. And you know, in the movie, all the working class Mexicanos revolt, you know, and they're running around with their weed eaters and their hedge clippers, and they're killing all the gringos. And it's kind of funny and it's pretty racist uh, in a bunch of different ways. It was attempting to be racist against whites, and it was that, but it was also pretty racist against Mexicans too. Uh, but funny. Uh, but but the point is that once the blue collar guys, and y'all know this, I'm telling you, once the blue collar men stop wanting to service an area, that area is going to grind to a halt. Cities are not natural. Not Jessica Alba. Yeah, and Lindsay Lohan was in that one too. And I have to admit to a weakness for Lindsay Lohan. She happens to be my kind of crazy. I haven't seen Get the Gringo, Isaac. I'll have to look at it. Uh, but where was I going? Oh, yeah, redheads. Yeah, Lindsay. Uh, Cities that size are not natural. They are a an artificial environment that will collapse on itself if not maintained from the outside. They cannot exist like that without massive amounts of resources and massive amounts of maintenance and upkeep. And and all that stuff is coming in from the outside of the city. And it is dependent on you and me uh, doing our jobs. And if they ever make it, oh yeah, brownout. No Mexicans show up and the country stops working, and they are right. Hey, girl. We almost had a cameo. Uh, and it would be our most powerful and effective tool. There's this old Greek play. When I say old, I mean old, like thousands of years old. This play predates Christ, I think. Yeah, because it's set in the Peloponnesian War. Uh, I don't know if y'all can hear all that in the background. The kids are watching a movie, and sorry, it's just when you have this many people in this, we're like New York City here. We're all crammed in a little tight. But the whole point of this play is I can't remember the name of it. It's a comedy, and there's this war going on, and the women decide they're sick of the war, and so the women all move down into the city center. I think that's the Forum, but I might be making that up. That might be Rome. This is set in Athens, and they stage a strike. All the women go on strike until the men agree to cancel the war. And this is what Wes was just talking about, brownout, which I had heard that phrase before, but I'd forgotten it. None of the Mexicans show up for work, and the whole country shuts down. I think that would be more effective out west. I mean, we do have a large amount of Hispanic population in Georgia, obviously, but not enough to shut the place down if they all went on strike on us. But it would have an impact. It would have an impact. But I mean, for you think about all the trades, carpenters, electricians, plumbers. If the plumbers quit, I mean, literally they drown in their own shit. Did you see that Trump's Truth Social merger went through, and even though the BS lawsuits are going, he just made approximately $4 billion. I did not see that anti-at Jack. I did not even know that there was a Truth Social merger going on. Uh, who did it merge with? Did it? Was this the one where they were going to merge it with Parlor? Uh, I seem to remember hearing something at one point where the reconstituted Parlor was going to merge with Truth Social. Georgia's number 7 of most illegals. But that puts us pretty far down the list. Just in not far down the list, but that means our numbers, because like California, Texas, and New York have so many of the illegals, and then I'm sure Illinois is way up on that list. Minnesota's probably pretty high up that list. Uh, Corn Pop's here. Yeah, Corn Pop, you're right. The the Mexicans did so well for themselves that they're not all, but a lot of them are middle class now, and they've turned into to lazy fat Americans. Uh, and it used to be you could go down to the Home Depot and there'd be 20 of them in front of the Home Depot, and you would say Five Guys, $100, uh, and they 5 of them would pile in the truck, and you go do what you had to do, bring them back, give them all their $20, and okay, what's this? Media and Technology Group to merge with Digital World after SEC approval, with ex-president to hold 58% company stake. Ooh, nice. A Lance Corporal veteran says they tried that in California, day without Latinos. It went nowhere for 8 hours, and it affected no one. I'm a lazy fat American. Well, anything that helps out my president, I'm all for. My first president since Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston was my last president, and it's good to be able to have another one now. Uh, and if you know what I'm talking about, then you're a little too old. Maybe not too old, but you're getting up there. Uh, They tried the day without women in California, and it resulted in the record lowest human resources complaints in history. It was probably also the most efficient day in the modern history of the state economy. Uh, but still, it's just a little reminder. Uh, there's a proverb, and I don't ever remember which one it was, but it says the wealth of a king is in his people. Uh, you know, they always forget this with their freaking Federal Reserve and their SEC, and 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 they think that the wealth of this nation is in their financial tools, uh, and in their all of their crazy institutions and all of their whack job ways they have of stealing money from everybody. And it's not. Those things harvest the wealth of the nation. Those things skim the wealth of the nation. They steal the wealth of the nation. But the wealth of the nation is the people and the surplus that people produce. And one of the surest signs that our elite masters have lost their damn minds and are incompetent assholes who do not know what they're doing is because they think they've convinced themselves the tranny walkout day. Yeah, you ever seen trannies walk? They can't go that far in them ridiculous high heels they wear. Uh, the Department of the Navy. That's nice, Sasquatch. Uh, where was I? Oh, they they think they're the ones that produce wealth. They think they're the ones that the reason we're wealthy, the reason why America is the economic powerhouse it is because we have the world reserve currency. That's bullshit. America has the world reserve currency because we're the economic powerhouse. This is this whole chicken and the egg thing. And liberals always get, and all of our elites are liberals. I don't care what if they have a D or R behind their names. They're all freaking liberals. They always get it wrong. They always put the cart before the horse. Just like, uh, okay, we'll talk about the dollar in a minute, Isaac. I don't have my notes in front of me on that, but we need to talk about that. We still got to do AI and we got to do the dollar. Y'all don't let me forget this. Uh, oh man, silver is fantastically cheap. I moved my silver. Uh, I was able to haul off some scrap Friday, and as I move around my environment, I'm all the time keep my eyes out for scrap, and whenever I find it, I grab it if I can, uh, and then I'll take it off, and that's how I buy my silver. I try not to take my silver out of the family budget. I try to, so like this week, I had done a little side job that took me about 30 minutes. They paid me $50, and then I got uh, I had $76 worth of scrap I'd collected over 2 weeks. And then I had $20 just floating around that I was able to snag. So I had $146. And I got down to the coin shop. I love my local coin shop. Uh, and I was able to go and they've got these uh, uh, bins of old coins and stuff. And you're just going through them, and it's ridiculous. They're a commodity. The reason why these coins are in that bin is because they've already been gone through 100 times, and there's nothing. But I just got to go through every single one, look at the dates, which are you see the little lines better on this one, or the line is the face. Yeah. And I just Morgan's, yeah, Morgan's is kind of what I focus on Chuck. Uh, my oh, my phone's not charging again. Might be a short live stream, and if this goes away, it's because my ridiculous old iPhone 8 can't charge, and I apologize. It'll just go blank, and we'll just let it run out on us. That'll just be the end of the evening. Uh, where was I? Oh, Morgan's. I've got them in the safe. I got a safe. Pete Rambo traded me a safe for an ounce of silver, and I built it a shelf, and I've got it up in a thing, and so now I've got all my silver locked away, and I can't just grab it. Uh, but Morgans are kind of, I try to do 50-50 between bullion and constitutional. Uh, yeah, it was a pretty good trade. He did me a solid. He pretty much just let me have it, but it was barter. Uh, Les is here. How are you doing, Les? Uh, so 50-50 bullion, just uh, I like to get the 1 ounce sovereigns, the Britannias, the American Silver Eagles, uh, the Arcs. What else? Oh, thank you. Tell Sharon we said hello too, sir. Uh, Arcs, the Philharmonics, the Krugerrands, and then also every once in a while I'll get a bar of some kind. Usually a 5 ounce to 10 ounce bar. This last time I actually got my first Engelhard bar. I got a little 1 ounce Engelhard bar. I'm tempted to go snag it because it's kind of pretty. And it's a pressed bar, and I don't. That's what I call them. I don't know if that's the right term or not, but it's the bars that are kind of flat and they've got the sharp edges, or at least the square edges. And I don't normally like pressed bars. I like poured bars. Uh, hey Tim, and but this is kind of a nice little pressed bar. I have held a 100 ounce bar, Isaac. I have not owned a 100 ounce bar. That would be very, very, very cool. Uh, but so yeah, I was able to get. So on my constitutional, what I do, uh, I'll 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 get all the Morgans I can afford first, and then whatever incidental I've got left over, I'll go get, dimes and quarters. Uh, and so the quarters, I typically don't like to do quarters a whole lot. I do Mercury dimes a lot, uh, and then I really like the barber heads, uh, both dimes, quarters, and I don't think I've got a 50 cent piece. Uh, so I try to focus on that stuff. The older I can get, the reason why I like the Morgans uh, is is that they're almost an ounce of silver. They're 3/4 of an ounce of silver. Uh, I don't even know what Silver Norse torques are. Sasquatch, what is that? The torques, are those the armband, the little arm things they wore? I don't remember. Uh, so it's almost an ounce of silver. It's very recognizable. The big neck rings. Uh, and the lowest grade of Morgans I can get for around $30, uh, which isn't substantially more than a sovereign round. I know right now the prices are a little low, a little lower than that. But the thing with the Morgans is that they're not making any more of them. There's a scarcity there. Where with all other rounds, they can just keep minting the crap out of them. I cannot find Morgans for $25, Isaac, local, but I'm sure they're out there. Uh, the ones I'm getting, like I said, are around 30. So that's why I really like the Morgans, because they've got a scarcity. I actually think uh, peace dollars are even a little cheaper than Morgans, and you can get them in really nice shape because they were never hardly circulated at all. Uh, and they're the least desired ones right now. And of course, how do you make money? Buy low, sell high. You don't want to buy the expensive stuff. You want to buy the cheap stuff. So I think peace dollars are a really good uh, option too. I don't buy them because as much as I try to suppress my inner collector. I just love these things, and I just I'm all obsessed with the Morgans right now. I want to try to get every year. You're ever going to be able to get every mint, because there was one year when Philadelphia only made fewer than 900 Morgan dollars, and they were all proofs that year. And so if you get an I think it's 1895. If you can get an 1895 Philadelphia Morgan dollar, it's $35,000 in any grade. It doesn't matter what the condition is. They only made 900 of them, Lone Ranger rounds. On YouTube, a guy showed what he did to silver and gold bullion. He made sheets and punched rounds out of them. So yeah, and the Carson cities. I actually, Tim, I do have one Carson City. I broke down and bought it. I want to say it was like $130 or something. Uh, it it was actually a decent deal on a Carson City, and it's not in like great shape or anything, but it you can still see everything, and I'm pretty pleased with it. I've just got that one. Uh, but so I was able to get a year Morgan. I haven't had any 1887s. I've got a list of everything I don't have, and so I don't have an 1887, and so I went up a grade, and I think I paid $40 to get a 1887 Philadelphia Morgan in really nice shape. And then I bought that. Of the, oh yeah, of the silver bullets. You know what? I am going to get this silver because I did get something kind of interesting, and I want to show it to you. Don't go anywhere on me a minute. It's going to take me 2 minutes to grab this real quick. All right, how many people did we lose? Oh, we lost two. I just pulled a Wes ass. That's a Wes move. Wes will just get up and walk away from the camera and go smoke. First time I saw him do that, I went, "Damn! He don't even care." Yeah, unfortunately, I've become a coin collector, which I can't afford to be a coin collector. You know, this has to be stuff I'm willing to spend, or I'm sorry, sell when the prices flip around on me. Okay, so I have not been able to find a lot about out. Oh, here we go. I'm down to 10%. This is going to go quick. I have not been able to find a lot about this. See what you guys can see here. So this is a casino token. And it says on it, not legal, it's Trump Plaza. So it's like a collector $10 redeemable cash value, not for slot play. Trump Plaza, Atlantic City, New Jersey. Collector series. And for some reason, it's got the seal of Delaware on the back. I don't know why. But it says it's silver. It says 0.999 fine silver. But I don't know if that means just this part is silver. And then this part is like a brass or something, or is this part silver and it's just a different color? I haven't been able, I tried to do some research, and I haven't been able to figure out how much silver is actually in it. You know, is it an ounce of silver? Is it 3/4 of an ounce of silver? Well, that's a silver eagle. That's not a good one to compare it to. Let's just do a buffalo round. Okay, so there's just a buffalo round. And so it's bigger around than the buffalo round. And it's thicker than the buffalo round. So it seems like there's a good chance that there's it's got to be close to an ounce. You know, three stumped. It doesn't have to be close, but I would imagine it's mildly. I paid $25 for it, so I might have overpaid a little bit. But I actually looked it up online, and they are selling online for about $45 to $50. But well, there were people on there asking. Well, the problem, Chuck Norris, is that you can weigh it, and the coin shop was willing to weigh it for me, but you don't know. We're not positive if this outer part is silver or not. So weighing it without knowing if the outer part's silver doesn't tell you anything. It could weigh out to an ounce, but if yeah, that's kind of my guess too. But anyway, it's very cool. I like it. I figured, what the hell, you know? It says Trump on it, for crying out loud, and it predates his presidency. Let me see if I've got that Morgan. Here's a peace dollar. This was the last silver dollar minted as a legal tender. It's not a bad design. It was they were first minted right after World War One. That's why they call them the peace dollar, because everyone wanted peace, and they made the eagle specifically with his wings folded, just to show that, to demonstrate that we don't want no more war. And of course, we had more war. But that's my stack of peace dollars. That's not all of them. I've got a few more. But those are my generic peace dollars. Where's that 1887 Morgan I just got? I think it's going to be in here, but it would probably be too hard for me to try to find it. But I'll try anyway, because I love talking about my silver. 1901, 1900, 1899, 96, 90, 85, but not of Philadelphia, New Orleans. It's a shame. 84, 83, 82, 81, 81, 80. All these are in order. 79, 78, 78. Huh. So what did I do with the damn thing then? Oh, I bet it was in a flip. Oh, come on, you dirty bastard. Yeah, it's down here in a flip. 79. I think there's my Carson City. You see, it's not in great shape, but that's my Carson City. And this is actually probably my most valuable one, even though it's not a Carson City. No, Isaac, I haven't put any ammunition back in a while. There we go. Here's the one I got Friday. That's my 1887. No, I haven't bought any ammunition in a while. I need to get back at it. I don't even know what the prices are doing right now, to be honest with you. For all I know, it could be imminently affordable. Why are these not fitting back in here now? I swear I just took all these out of there. Why won't they go back in? I did something wrong here. Oh, I put my peace dollars in there, you jackass. That's the peace dollar tub. What a moron. There's the Morgan tub. Okay. I apologize. I really like my silver. Here, I'll show you my Engelhard bar real quick, and then we'll get back to business, because we still haven't talked about a bunch of stuff we were supposed to talk about. Here we go. Here's the Engelhard bar. Engelhard is kind of one of the more famous mints. It's out of business now. But this is what I mean when I say a pressed bar versus a poured bar. You can see how it's rounded. Anywho, all right. I know I just lost a bunch of people. Y'all don't care. But while we're here, it's not that y'all don't care. So this is my list. I don't have an 86, an 88. This is 8. On the Morgans, I don't have an 1886, 88, 89, 91, 93, 94, 95, 97, 98, or an 02 or an 03. So I still have years I'm trying to fill in. And then on the peace dollars, I don't have a 21, 25, 26, 27, 28, 34, or 35. All I've got is 22, 23, and 24s. I have work to do on my Peace and Morgan dollar collection. But anywho, all that being said, here's another one I got this weekend. Look how pretty that is. They said that it wasn't a proof quarter, that it's just an uncirculated. But that was $7. Can't remember. This was $5 or $7. Oh, I was excited. Gives me pimples. Not pimples. Goosebumps. Gives me goosebumps. I don't know why I locked this box when the key stays in it. Of course, the box itself is inside a bigger safe. Anywho, all righty. So, we want to talk about AI, and we want to talk about the death of the dollar. And we probably only got a few minutes to do it before this stupid phone dies. Apparently, I need to stop buying silver and replace my phone. Y'all aren't even listening to me anymore. Y'all got a side conversations going on. That is fantastic. I am good with that. So let's do the AI first, because who was it who brought that up? Son of a gun. I don't know. Someone said connect the charging cable. Oh, well, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm still here, Wapo. Where was I? Oh, yeah, this AI thing. So I got all spun up about 5G when 5G was coming out. And then I had to get a 5G phone for work. They gave me one and said you had to have it. I know. I'm glad you guys are staying interested even when I'm boring. I appreciate that. And after all the hype about 5G, you know how 5G was going to melt our brains and all this. I got this 5G phone, and it ain't strong enough to get the damn cell tower, let alone melt my brain. It's useless. 5G is useless. All the hype around 5G, it was just it was just a lie. You know, it's terrible. I get better service out of my old 4G. This one we're on right here, this iPhone 8. You know, I get far better service out of it than I do that 5G garbage. So all that to say, oh, and like when the nuclear bomb was first being talked about, and this still bothers me. Uh, when they were first talking about the nuclear bomb, there was one school of thought that said that if we ever, hey, engineer to succeed, how you doing, sir? If we ever detonated a nuclear bomb in the atmosphere, it would lead to a chain reaction that burned up all the oxygen in the entire atmosphere of the whole planet. Uh, and that was a minority opinion, but it was still a significant opinion that the explosion would be so hot, it would be so powerful that it would spontaneously combust all of the oxygen across the entire planet. And they all looked at that and said, probably not. And they did it anyway. that, that still bugs the shit out of me. Uh, it's like, there was a chance. I mean, there was a debate, and y'all decided to risk it. What the hell, man? Come on. Anywho, so they always freak out about these technologies when they introduce them, and they almost never live up to the hype initially. But they very, very, very frequently live up to the hype eventually. Uh, uh, the chance was not zero. That's no, engineer, no. How how near zero is destroying the planet? I mean, how close to zero does it have to be for it to be acceptable? There is a small chance that we will completely incinerate the entire planet. Yes, but how small of a chance? That's not okay. Okay, you don't get to make those decisions for other people. I mean, it all worked out, and we can laugh about it now. But can you imagine being in that room when someone went, Excuse me, there's a slight chance that we're gonna spontaneously combust all of the oxygen in the entire planet, and we're all gonna die." and, and someone sat there and said, "Well, let's assess this risk." So, someone probably got assigned by a committee to evaluate the risk about whether or not we were going to asphyxiate the entire planet. Okay, I'm sorry. Uh, back to so a lot of this AI hype, and I bought into it just like I did. I bought into the 5G. I bought into the AI hype. Appears to have been greatly premature. Uh, it's still basically just a computer program. Like, there was nothing new that happened when they sort of declared it AI. As far as I can tell, now I'm not a tech guy or anything, but this was just like a linear progression and evolution of the what came before it, and it's been going on for a while. Uh, and yeah, like Engineered to Succeed is telling us here, it's pretty much just a computer program that takes wild guesses at what words might follow, what word might come next. As far as I can tell, and it's not ready. It's not Skynet yet. It's not ready to take over, but it is. Uh, it is a step in that direction. Uh, and just because we're not there yet doesn't mean we don't need to start thinking about it and planning about it and trying to decide how it is we're all going to respond. As far as I can tell, the only uh, effective response there can be is to not participate. You just have to check out of their game, which means checking out of their systems, which is incredibly scary. Uh, but that's what being a prepper is all about. The thing is, we're we're here. We've arrived at what we were preparing for, uh, and we all just need to be ready to not be in the system. We've got to barter. We've got to grow our own food. We've got to accept that we don't have access to their health care systems. We'll have to accept that we don't have access to their jobs, their economic structures. Uh, the only way going forward for a God-fearing man in this nation is in the trades. Uh, as lower middle class is kind of all we can. The highest we can aim for economically is lower middle class, and maintain our integrity and maintain our culture. If we're not going to take their shots, if we're not going to get all their crazy little transhuman and humanism bullshit that they want to foist on all of us, uh, we're we're just not going to be able to participate. We are. We're going to. Someone said Luddite. Maybe it was Ryan. We have to be prepared to be Luddites. I had a video a few months ago that I still think is one of the more important videos I ever did, that said the greatest prep you can do is turn off your AC. Uh, that's a hard thing. I live in Georgia. We haven't had AC in this house in the 12 years we've lived here. This house was not designed for people to live in it without air conditioning. It gets hot, brother. It gets hot. Even after, and I grew up without AC. I've never had AC. The only time I ever had air conditioning in my whole life was when I was in the Marine Corps. Uh, it is a difficult, uh, it is a difficult thing to, once you've experienced these comforts and these luxuries that they offer us, to then turn your back on them. But that's what we have to be willing to do, you know. And when they bring their doctors out and they start jumping around, waving their arms in the air, screaming, "You're gonna die! You're gonna die! You're gonna die!" Yeah, we have to be willing to say, "Well, we accept that risk. Yeah, we're willing to die." Uh, what gets hard is when they tell you, "Well, your children are gonna die. Your children are gonna die. Your children are gonna die." There's not a good answer for that, because if you say, "Well, I'm willing to accept that risk," then they say, "Well, you're a bad parent, and we're gonna take your child." That gets hard. Uh, Lance Corporal Veteran says, "I come from the desert. I couldn't live there without AC." I'm going to call bullshit on that, Lance Corporal Veteran. You could live there. I don't know if you. When I say bullshit now, I mean I'm not being an asshole. Uh, I don't know if you ever did a CAX. If you ever went to 29 Palms, but we've spent 2 months out there in. I think it was August and September, but it might have been July and August. It was one of the two. Yeah, so you've been there. You can do it. You can do it. You just don't want to do it. And I get it. I do. I get it. It's, well, once you've been in air conditioning and then you go back out into the natural world, and it is rough. And when you're in pain, or mama's dying and they tell you they can fix it, uh, you know, uh, you want to believe them. You want to grab onto that hope, and you want to, all of us, we want to hit the easy button, and we want to be comfortable, and we don't want to have to make. No, Ryan, it's the heat. Uh, it's the heat. Humidity at 50 degrees is it's not bad at all. uh, and we have to be prepared to live without those things. We have to be willing to say, no, look, I'm going to die at 75. I'm going to die at 76, 77. I'm going to live without air conditioning. I'm not going to have nice cars. Uh, I'm going to have modest housing. And I'm going to work hard. Hey, W Cam, how you doing, brother? Well, we haven't seen you in a while. It's good to hear from you. So that's my take on AI. It is not there. It is not what they claim it is yet. It's not. It's clearly not self-aware, obviously, but it's not even AI yet. It's just a computer program that can figure out what word comes next. Usually, now I don't understand how it draws things, but I don't understand lots of stuff. Uh, but I'm sure it's the same mechanism. Been busy. Homesteading keeps you busy, and so do kids. Yes, sir, they do. Both of them keep you very, very, very busy. Now, death of the dollar. Isaac, I'm going to disagree with you. The dollar, what was it? I think it was uh, Mark Twain, who at some point they ran an obituary for Mark Twain while he was still living. And he wrote, I think it was the New York Times. It was one of the big papers. You printed an obituary saying that he had died, and he wrote them a letter. Uh, and the letter said, "Dear sirs, this is Mark Twain. Whatever the reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. The death of the dollar has been greatly exaggerated." Uh, Now, let me preface these remarks with saying I am a silver bug. You just saw my eyes light up while I showed you all of my silver, and you all got bored and talked about the things that interest you. I want the dollar to die. I think one of the best things that could happen to America is for the dollar to die. I think it would save our culture. The reason why all of these weird ass liberals are trying to take over our country is because we're rich and powerful. And if we were no longer rich, they would stop trying to pull all this foolishness to get control of it. So I want the dollar to die. The problem is that the dollar, for all of its problems, and the dollar has myriad problems, myriad problems. Yes, we have printed so many dollars, it's dizzy. We literally don't know how many dollars are out there. No one knows. No one knows how many dollars exist in the world or where they're at. Uh, in fact, Lance Corporal Veteran was talking about Iraq, and he might remember this story. At one point, our guys in Iraq were patrolling this village, and they went past this one neighborhood a lot. It might not have been a village; it might have been Baghdad or something. I don't know. But were through this one neighborhood a lot, and they kept seeing this building. There was just this building in the middle of this neighborhood with no doors and no windows, and it wasn't a big building. It was maybe the size of a. The pictures I saw, it might have been 15 by 15 but 20 by 20 maybe at the most. No doors, no windows, and just couldn't figure out what the hell it was. And so they finally got to asking around, and everyone in the neighborhood said, "We don't know, we don't know what it is." You know, it wasn't there, and then one day it was there, and no one asked the questions. Uh, and so they knock the wall down, and they go in there, and it's a giant block of dollars, $100 bills, $20. It was all American money. Uh, Hundreds of millions of dollars of this American money just stacked up in this building. We don't know where all the dollars are. We don't know who has them. We don't know how many there are. Here's uh, oh yeah, no, that's a corrupt, evil system, Isaac. The problem is that with all the problems there is with the American dollar, all the problems there are with the American financial system, all the other ones are worse. There's no alternative. There's nowhere for anyone in the world to hide their money, to park it and try to make it safe. other than precious metals, gold and silver. But no one believes in them anymore. I believe in them, but the rich people don't believe in those anymore. The British pound is we'll talk about the ruble. The British pound has horrific problems. The UK is in terrible shape. The euro is even worse. The Deutschmark. Oh no, they gave up the Deutschmark. They did the euro. Never mind. The Japanese yen. No one can even figure out how Japan is even still a country anymore, let alone an economy. The yen is on life support. The yuan, the Chinese currency. China's got really bad problems. As bad as our problems are with printing money, China's like 20 times worse. China just have the printers on full blast. They're printing money to buy more printers to print more money. I mean, it's just insane. And they lie, they fudge all of their numbers. Russia. Okay. So there are two countries that could surpass us in my opinion. One is Brazil and the other is India. Uh, China doesn't have a shot, but they've got their demography problem. They're communists. Communism always fails without fail. The only time communism doesn't fail is that it never fails to fail. Uh, and they've got this demographic problem. They've got a horrid corruption problem. Not You can't trust a single number that comes out of their. You cannot trust the Chinese economy. You can't put. Oh, it's good to have you back, Les. Glad you enjoyed the movie. Uh, so China's out. Here's the problem with Russia, and I know we all like Russia. Uh, I like Russia. I love their stance against the world order. I love their stance against homosexuality. Everything about Russia that everyone likes, I like just as much. They've got a demographic crisis. They've got a bad demographic crisis. Uh, they have deaths of despair like you would not believe. And then they started this stupid war. Whatever you say, what you want about Ukraine, say what you want about the Bidens. I don't care. This war was a bad idea, uh, and it has taken all of the problems they had and just blown them up into Godzilla-sized problems. They already had a demographic crisis. They already had these horrific deaths of despair in their younger generations. And then they just went and started a war, and they've lost hundreds of thousands of young men. No one's even quite sure how many. Hundreds of thousands. They have absolutely eviscerated their military. Uh, they have lost massive amounts of material, massive amounts of ammunition, massive amounts of weapons, and they've had to back down from their other commitments. They had to back down in Armenia when Azerbaijan and Turkey uh, uh, got all uppity with Armenia, and Russia had promised to defend Armenia, and Russia had to back down because they were weak, because they were bogged down in Ukraine, and because they were so overextended there, they couldn't keep their obligations in the rest of the region. This war has been catastrophic for Russia. And it does not matter what comes out of this war, uh, unless Russia is able to take the entire nation of Ukraine. If they're able to invade Kiev and take over the vast bulk of the country, uh, Russia has been destroyed for a generation, and they cannot come back from this uh, with anything. It doesn't matter if Ukraine's a nation. This is David and Goliath. Remember, when Russia started this thing, they were going to take a couple weeks to go denazify Kiev. Remember, that was the claim. we've got a special military operation. It'll take us a few weeks. We're gonna take care of the Nazis in Ukraine. We're gonna secure they were gonna take. Here we are, 2 years later. The lines have barely budged, and now they're all excited about this town they took, Avrika. I'm sorry, that town was on the border of what you already controlled anyway, as far as I can tell. I'm not a Ukrainian expert, but this has been a horrific black eye for Russia. Terrible, just bad. I mean, this is how bad it is. They're buying weapons from North Korea. All right, when you have to get supplied by the North Koreans, you have a problem. North Korea is one of the most impoverished uh, countries on the face of the planet. Having to take aid from North Korea, Haiti doesn't take aid from North Korea. This is terrible. So Russia, unfortunately, is not whatever you think about Biden, about Ukraine, whatever you think was going on with this war, it worked. Uh, if all of this was just about weakening Russia, it worked. Russia has been incredibly weakened by this thing. Anyway, moving on. So yes, Brazil has a young, dynamic population. Protestantism is taking hold in Brazil, and all of the dynamic world economies for hundreds of years now, since Spain, have been Protestant. You know, the Dutch were sort of the world power for a while. England was the world power for an extremely long time. America, uh, Sweden, that was the world power for a little while. I heard them talking about it, Isaac. Again, I don't know if they'll pull it off, but it's an interesting thing. So Brazil's kind of steadily, maybe not converting to Protestantism is really taking off in Brazil. And they've got a young population. They've got lots of natural resources. They're a very large country. Brazil's got a shot. Now they also have a very active leftist movement, and nothing will derail an economy like a leftist movement. And the lefties are in charge in Brazil right now, anyway. So it's by no means for sure that Brazil is going to be able to pull this off. But as far as I can tell, they have the best shot. What did engineers? Uh, Whatever you think about the war in Ukraine, we certainly learned that our equipment is incredibly effective. We also learned that Russia lies a lot about their capability. Yes, yeah. Russia is very good at propaganda. Always has been. They have never been good about coming through. And this goes back to at least the Crimean War. I believe that was the 1850s. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that. Where everyone thought Russia was a world power, and Russia got its ass handed to it by France and Britain. And then everyone thought Russia was a world power going into World War One, and Russia got its ass handed to it. About the only time Russia's ever lived up to its claims was during the Napoleonic Wars. Uh, that was a long time ago. That was the 1810s. Russia almost collapsed in World War II. Had it not been for America propping them up with weapons and aid, Russia would have collapsed, and the history of the 20th century would be vastly different. So, anywho, now the wild card in all this is India. India has the world's largest population, and remember, the wealth of a kingdom is in its people. And if you have that many people, you are by definition a wealthy nation. Now, India's got some major problems They've also actually got a demographic crisis, and they've also got they've got a pretty split society with Islam and Hinduism but if India's got about a 20-year window uh, where they really could get on a tear and I can't remember the name of the Indian currency. It's not the renminbi. Renminbi. Uh, Dinar? That might be Iran. I don't know. Whatever the Indian currency is. The rupee. Thank you, engineer to succeed. The rupee. They've got a shot. I don't think they're going to be able to get it together because here's the problem: the dollar's got the inertia, and so there's all of this debt that's already denominated in dollars. People have to pay all of these debts they've accrued in dollars, so they have to acquire dollars from somewhere. So it's got an inertia to it. It just because it's moving, it keeps moving. So everyone talks about the petrodollar and the death of the petrodollar. Well, the petrodollar, I'm pulling all of these numbers from memory, so I'm going to get some of them. They're not exact, but I think the petrodollar, the oil trade, only accounts for something like 20% of the dollar. Yeah, the Hindus are bad. Uh, they can be some very vicious, violent oppressors of especially Christianity. Uh, so even if every single oil transaction in the world left, quit using the dollar, that's still 80% of the trade, world trade is denominated in dollars. Uh, that would still leave 80% of the trade that is denominated in dollars alone. And all transactions aren't going to leave the dollar. Some of them will, but not all of it. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is debt that's already been accrued, or debt that's already been. Uh, when the people took on this debt, they said they were going to pay it back in dollars. So they have to pay this debt back in dollars. Uh, uh, that that doesn't surprise me at all, Isaac. So yes, the dollar has major problems, and the dollar is going to continue to weaken. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the dollar is the healthiest horse in the glue factory. I will say this: there is no currency right now healthier than the dollar. No currency is set up well right now. Uh, uh, but but if we're waiting on the dollar to fall, the dollar has a long time before it. I think Isaac said earlier the dollar's already dead. Well, maybe it is. Maybe the dollar has died already, but it ain't done kicking yet. Rigor mortis ain't set in. It's going to be a while before this sucker bleeds out. Uh, 10, 15, 20 years, maybe more, just because of the sheer inertia. And I think that's a terrible thing. It's bad for our country. It's bad for our culture. The dollar needs to die. Uh, the best thing that could happen for us would be for the dollar to lose world reserve currency status. I just don't think it's going to. No time soon. There's nothing to replace it. Now, the the caveat to that is if globalism dies, then the dollar can die. But there are very, very, very powerful forces at work to uh, keep globalism alive. But all of these foreign entities, they're invested in the dollar. Their wealth is in the dollar. What are they going to put that you know for them to let the dollar die? Where are they going to move that wealth into? They're going to move heaven and earth to keep the dollar system float. because that's the system that where they're wealthy. Lance Corporal veteran says the British sterling was in decline for uh, the British sterling was in decline for 20 years before it finally gave up the ghost. Okay, foreign entities are dropping the dollar rapidly. Foreign entities are diversifying away from the dollar. That's not the same thing as dropping it rapidly. Now they central banks are buying a lot of gold right now, but a lot of gold in relation to how much gold they had prior. It's it's not massive amounts of gold. It's just surprising amounts of gold compared to the history, the recent history. Uh, I like I said, I hope the dollar dies tonight. I hope we wake up in the morning and the dollar index has fallen to 1.5. It's at 104 right now. So for it to fall to 1.5, means it lost 100% of its value. Uh, and I'd be perfectly okay with that. It would be, terrible times, but they would be good times in the end, and it would strengthen us and renew us. I just don't think it's going to happen quickly. But no one has to sell me on the metals. I love the metals. Look at me, I'm yawning. I'm big on the metals. Love the metals. I think silver is a poor man's wealth. I've never been able to accrue any wealth in my entire life outside of my house, or my faith, my family, and my house, until I started buying silver. And then in a little over a year, maybe not quite a year and a half, that I've been buying silver, I've been able to accrue about $3,000 worth of silver. Uh, the most the most wealth outside of those things I just listed I've ever had in my life by a large margin. I mean, there would be brief periods of time when I had a good tax return or something, so I briefly had more cash than that, but it was on its way out the door. It was it was just a matter of finding what it was going to get spent on. Uh, the silver has been an amazing savings account. Now, I've got to be willing when it pops to sell it. That's the thing. It can't be a collection. It can't be. It can't be an untouchable thing. Yeah, the guns. The guns, I've got a little bit of money, and not a huge amount of. I mean, you can see all of my guns right there almost. There's a few that aren't up there, but most of them. So it's not like I have this huge collection of World War II sniper rifles or anything, but I've got a little bit of wealth in the guns that I could cash out on if I needed to. But anyway. Alrighty, I think we are winding down. Uh, I do need to start buying some ammunition again. Yeah, Tim, I try to stay away from the numismatics. I get some, not many. Uh, what I try to do is I try to focus my constitutional. I really try to get coins, constitutional coins that have the potential to have numismatic value in the future. So, when I go buy Mercury dimes, I pick through them and I try to get, and actually I did. I got a really nice Mercury out of a $2 bin, and that one probably shouldn't have been in that bin when I pulled it out. And I even showed it to the coin shop owner, and I said, "Hey, you guys." I showed him that one, and I showed him that quarter I showed you guys earlier, both. I said, "Yeah, you sure these one were in the right container? I feel like I maybe." Uh, oh, Lance Corporal veteran. Courts ended California's ban on mail order ammo. Uh, so I should order any cheap ammo I can find. Yeah, well, if you can find cheap ammo, yeah, you should order it. I don't even know what cheap ammo is anymore. Uh, Wish I'd have bought all I could of it 30 cents a round. Well, anywho, the Sasquatch, I don't know if he's still on here or not, but he bought a bunch right before prices popped. I knew another guy who'd been uh, hoarding ammo for years, and when the prices popped a few years ago, when they went really high, the gun store he did all of his purchasing for, knew how much ammo he'd been buying, and they bought it back from him at like twice what he paid for it. And he didn't sell all of it, but he had some excess. Well, maybe not excess, but he had some he was willing to speculate on, and so he sold it back to him at like twice what he had paid for it. Uh, and then the prices fell, and he bought it all back. At, and he made a pretty little penny off of all that. How many rounds of 5.56 is minimum for a man with an AR, in your opinion, and minimum amount of training with yearly? Uh, the minimum amount you should have is a combat load, 210 rounds, or 200 rounds, however you load your mags. But you should have 7 loaded magazines. And the minimum amount of training you should do is a quarterly 100-yard uh, qual. And qual is not the right term, but quarterly you should be finding at bare minimum a 100-yard range, and you need to be shooting some groups from 100 yards. And you need to be shooting at 100 yards. You need to be shooting a tight group. I would you 3 MOA, and don't laugh. Don't the 100 bullshit. A 3 MOA group for the average shooter shooting quarterly, a rack grade rifle with standard ammunition. That's an acceptable group. Yeah. Now, obviously, anything more than that that's bare minimum. That's bare minimum. Uh, and if you can do more, you should do more. But we don't want to set the bar so high that people don't do it. Oh well, I can't go to Thunder Ranch, I can't go to Valor Ridge, so fuck it, I just won't do anything. We can have a bare minimum standard that encourages people to get out and get better. All righty, man. We appreciate the hell out of you. I said, remember Adam, remember his wife. Uh, he was he was a valuable member of the community, several of our communities, and he will be missed. Uh, we appreciate the hell out of all of you. More so now, not more so, but it is more prevalent at the forefront of our minds right now when we've lost one of you. Reminds us that how valuable the rest of you are. Uh, I'm planning to be on next Saturday. Lance Corporal Veteran says 60 rounds is usually good enough for training on a budget. I don't even like to put a round count on it, Lance Corporal. I just want to put you know, and I maybe should have done a little bit, been a little bit more specific. But yeah, if quarterly you're shooting 100 yards and you're making sure that you and your rifle can do a 3 MOA group. And I guess for group we should say 5-shot group. Uh, that's that's a good starting place. That's a good starting place. And if you could do more, it'd be great to do more. It would be really good to do more. All righty, man. Uh, like I said, we appreciate you. Uh, stay. I need a catchphrase. Well, my catchphrase is "I appreciate you," but be of good cheer. We can win this thing. We can win this thing. All is not lost. All is not lost. Y'all have a good evening.